record the meeting on video and audio, and we initially intended to have our public meeting at 5:30 and then start with our regular meeting an hour after that. So Monty Meyer from the school needs to get out of here for they're interviewing for a position. So I'm going to call the meeting to order, a regular meeting to order, and then we will reconvene. We will then recess that meeting after Monty's business is done. Then we'll go into our public information meeting, and then we'll wrap up with everything else after that. Anybody have any issues with that? No. Okay. All right. So should we do the approval of minutes and everything too right away? Okay, let's do that. Everybody has the minutes for the November 20th meeting. Any discussion or concerns or changes?
Make a motion, we forego the reading of the minutes and approve them as distributed to us.
Okay, we have a motion by Pillar.
Second.
A second by Wolf. Discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
I added one thing under the correspondence relating to our workforce safety program.
We have WSI under 9A. It's on everybody's agenda, 9A. Anything else? Now I take a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Wolf to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. All in favor of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we will move directly to 5A, which is the no parking area for Hazen Public School. Monty, you want to come up and talk to us about
Okay,
your
well,
issue?
it came up, just if you're familiar where the swimming pool is, kind of on the north side of that, from the west stop sign to the stop sign, the lighted stop sign, kids have been parking in there, and there's a lot of kids going back and forth in between there. And we've had some people going through there, and, where they can't see kids coming, and it's kind of a safety hazard. And I know Todd Parker had brought up to me that once upon a time that was a bus loading zone, and there is a sign up there. I took a picture of, and there's like some letters missing, and it's faded, and if you're farther than 2 feet away from it, you can't read it.
Okay.
And so what I'm asking is that we do get signage put back up there and keep that as just a loading zone, or to keep it open. When I went out there the other day, I walked around the parking lot, and there's plenty of places to park in the lots too for the students. It's more that they just don't want to walk that far.
And that's
So
just during the school day?
Yeah.
Is that what it says on there?
Is it on the north and the south side of that road, Monty?
Yeah, well, they haven't been parking on the south side of the road.
Okay.
The south side is where they load, like, for activities and stuff, so the kids have been staying away from there. It's just on the north side, and when they go to where the yellow is painted, the yellow is just a little bit past where the crosswalk is. So when you get vehicles, like big pickups and stuff up there, it's really tough to see kids walking through there. So I think it represents a safety hazard, honestly. I guess what I'm asking for is that we get a new sign put on that west stop sign, and probably one on that sign in the middle also, and then maybe one more in between, because it's pretty large, fairly large area.
So you want to go from where you enter the parking lot to the middle school?
Nope, not even that.
Not even there, just
Where the parking lot
at the
begins,
blink-
where that
just
stop
at the
sign
blinking
is,
stop sign.
stop sign to stop sign.
Okay.
From the blinking stop sign to the one on the west side, right across from the pool.
And you'd like to see it on both the north and the south side, put
And
signage or
then
not?
maybe one in the middle too, even, because it's a decent, decent job there. And, it would be nice just for the school day, because like when they have the weightlifting and stuff at night, and there are people walking through there, it's not a big deal. It's just more or less for the safety of the students.
What are the hours on that one again right now?
It
From
says,
8 to
It's something to 4, because there's no number on that.
Oh, it's
I think once a
nothing to 4.
It's
Yeah.
AM to 4 PM. So.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's letters missing on the school days there and stuff
Do we
too, so.
want it to say bus parking though, cause we don't.
I would just say no parking.
Just, yeah,
No
just
parking.
say no parking from 8 AM to 4 PM or
Yeah.
something like that.
And it says school days.
Yeah, on school days, so then
Yeah.
in the summertime or whatever, it's not a big deal.
No parking really.
Okay.
But you would still use the bus. The bus would stop there for activities if they're picking up kids at 2 o'clock to go out of town and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't see any issue with that at all, Monty.
Okay.
We just have to do some-
Jason?
One other question, do we this summer or next summer, I should say, during painting season? Do we yellow that?
I think
Whole area?
a portion of that curb is already yellow, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's-
if we're gonna put
if we're gonna-
signage, do we need to yellow the whole works, or what do you think?
Well, I'd say not, because
This is later. So
During
Yeah.
school days.
Yeah.
Certain hours.
True.
Yeah, this is looking the other way. It's yellowed right there.
Right,
It's yellowed right
Yep.
there where that sidewalk is. And then if you go
it's
down,
yellowed again
it's
down
yellowed
there,
down
but
there.
yeah,
right.
Cause
And
there's,
those are places where you would have no parking anytime, correct? Where it's yellowed or not?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right, you don't wanna do it, since we're putting out there.
Right, and that's, and what I was kind of thinking too then with, like when we have the regional basketball tournament, we wouldn't want that as a no parking zone during that either, because parking's gonna be a crunch for that, so the more we can keep open close by, the better off we would be.
Okay.
So,
Anybody see any issues with that at all? It's 3 signs and not a problem.
and thank you,
We will deal with it. Thank you, Mark.
All right, sounds
Appreciate you
good.
bringing that in.
thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll adjourn the meeting, our regular meeting, and then we are going to call the meeting to order for our public information meeting for our 2018 street project. And we have Dan Hillerud here from our community. And we've talked to Dan a little bit too about this. Danny, do you have any specific questions on your cul-de-sac that or would you like to know exactly what's gonna happen with that or what we're looking at?
That's what I'm here for. Just
Okay,
understand
come on
what's
up, come on up, Danny.
Come on up.
Yeah. And Mark, if you guys wanna come up here too?
All right. Danny lives right here.
The one with the black box.
Yep.
Yeah.
The cha-ching
Yeah.
box.
So, Mark, you wanna talk about that?
Well, this is the one.
We have some options there, correct?
Yeah, this does not have any curb and gutter on it right now, is that correct?
No, that's the
No,
one.
it
Yeah,
it
it
does.
does.
Oh,
This
it
is the one
does.
with the different elevations that you had them come in and
That-
shoot all the way around that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You wanna talk about that, Luke?
Yeah, if Josh was here, he's actually got an inset for that,
Yeah, each
particular
one of
area.
those exhibits,
Um,
yeah.
which you can kind of show a little bit more detail. Basically, what we're doing is we're replacing a few spots that are a little on the high side or that are kind of falling apart, and then a few other areas we're gonna mud jack to flatten everything out so it drains again. And then new mill and overlay the
Mud
cul-de-sac
jack curb.
itself. Mud jack, correct, yeah. So there's pieces of it that will come out, pieces of it that get mud jacked, straighten out the stuff that's really not in bad shape other than it's settled. So,
So it's not a full depth.
mill and overlay on that section is, yeah, we're just doing the top 2 inches.
And I'm not sure how, like, we're going blocks or streets, of what project's estimated cost is. I'm not sure if we have that for this or not. Does Josh have that, or?
An estimate just for that street area?
Yeah.
Or, oh, here we go.
I think there were only certain portions of this
This is,
project that we asked for individual.
Okay, all right,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
That was one of them.
Okay.
Right there.
So,
Maybe.
we're looking at mud jack in there, here.
And most of this, and then this chunk right here. Which is probably where the driveway's at.
That is about it. Yeah. Do you see water sitting in there, Danny, now?
Times it
That
does, but, most of it is because this is all broken up next to the curb.
The asphalt is, you mean?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
little bit higher than the asphalt, so.
Okay.
But, yeah, everything tends to run down the south side of the street, obviously,
Mhm.
to the drain, but
Okay.
as it does, there's times it sits there.
What we're trying to do is clean up the drainage so that the water drains and doesn't sit, because it's kind of one of those things where it sits and then soaks in to the cracks in the concrete and then next to the asphalt, and then especially in the spring and fall, when you got freeze thaw, it just starts prying that stuff apart. Big reason that you probably have the asphalt, is not a little bit of traffic, but more than that, it's just freeze thaw from ice getting in that joint.
Is the drain right beside your property, or is it over
It's-
towards your neighbor more?
Well, it's right between us and Creswell.
Is it, yeah, is it on the property line? Kind of?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So in the scheme of
I mean,
things,
that's one of the things that, we gotta keep that thing open all the time. That's
mhm,
stuff I see all the time. There's all kinds of debris and stuff that's in there, you end up cleaning out. But
mhm.
it's been good the last few years.
Well, I think in the scheme of things, Danny, with the mill and overlay and what they're gonna do with the curb and gutter, this is not one of the heftier, parts of the project that we're doing, it looks like. And we won't even be able to tell you what it would cost you until the special assessment committee sits down and looks at the entire project and divvies it out. And we'll let you, if you want, we can let you know when those people meet.
Yeah.
It'll be next fall, probably.
Yep.
Right? Is that when that,
Or later.
or later? Yeah. Okay. So, that's what we have planned for you,
Okay.
unless you want more. Right? Any other,
Did you need to hear anything more since you weren't here last week?
I guess the thing that the parking lots, I don't know of what we're looking at there by the school or the football field and the hockey rink. I know talking to both those other entities, they're in favor of doing something there and splitting that up
Yeah.
3 ways.
And what we asked them to do is identify those particular areas as extras,
Mhm.
alternates, and then we would have opportunity to have that broken out, and then we could have those further conversations with the other entities.
And then on the east side of Peace Lutheran's parking lot in the church, did you guys look, where's the church at, right here?
I think that's just one of those streets that's
Right
getting
here,
taken
yes.
down and then
Yeah.
resurfaced, right?
This area here, where those giant cottonwood trees are at, where where the
Yeah,
concrete's
that.
being broken up at, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Now, that is a through street, so that's ours, is that correct?
The pavement has.
The concrete area there, okay.
Thanks.
I guess I'm not sure how we attack that with, 'cause it's heaved by that much, it's
Yeah.
really bad.
The-
And the
What's-
cottonwood, the roots are right at the surface of the ground, yeah. So I'm not sure those cottonwoods, how we address that, because if you're gonna cut those out, those roots have to be removed.
Here's kind of just to catch you up on the discussions that we had. There's several issues in essentially the south half of that.
Okay.
With the sewer underneath.
Mhm. Saw that, yeah.
There's gonna be some things in there. What we decided to do is there's a manhole that's kind of about halfway up. We're gonna or maybe it isn't even that, maybe it's a little farther, but we were gonna go about halfway up, replace that piping under there, which is gonna rip up essentially the asphalt portion. But the pipe underneath where the concrete is all busted up, we didn't identify any really repair needs in there, so we hadn't planned on doing anything at this point. The solution to that area is honestly gonna be a headache because of those cottonwoods. It's heaved badly. the roots, even if we go in, rip them, cut them off so that there's no roots under the pavement, if the cottonwood trees don't die from that,
That'll be
They're gonna blow over.
there's also the possibility of them getting blown over because predominant winds coming more from the northwest is gonna be pushing on the side, it's gonna, with the lack of support that side, it could push it over into the house. So I think it would take a pretty good gust to do it, but still, even if none of those things happen, they're just gonna grow the roots back under. And it's gonna pop whatever happens in that pavement again.
Well, granted, that would be a long ways down the road.
It would be a long way down the road.
I mean, is there any consideration to taking the trees out?
We haven't approached the landowner.
I don't know that.
I was reminded this morning by a resident about earlier discussions several years ago about kind of moving that street over if the school and the city could obtain the property on the east and make that a two-way on the east side of
Yeah.
that church.
Yeah. The church doesn't want us using the west side anymore.
Right.
So that's not a through street, that's their property.
If that would be a resolution to some of this, I don't know. But you'd
And
have to
then-
make
and then
that
you would
street
just take
jog
the
over
trees
to the
down.
east,
You
yeah,
have to take the trees down and Mrs. Smith's house would have to get moved.
because there was discussion about the school wanting more parking lot as
Mhm.
well.
So question is, with all of that stuff in mind, is it something we wanna try to tackle a solution to right now? And we're fine either way, it's just a question.
I would think that we do, I mean, it needs to be taken care of, and now's the time, you know. I guess I'd like to see the trees be gone, and,
But they're on private property?
Yes,
well,
I think they're, well,
yeah, they
that's
probably
over.
are,
Yeah.
but it's probably got somewhat of a,
We have a nuisance.
yeah, boulevard there, so.
Cover that.
We could declare trees to be a nuisance.
If they're tearing up the street.
I'm not 100% certain, looking at this, I'd have to do a little more research, but to be perfectly honest with you, as I'm looking at this, I'm not sure that the city's right of way actually isn't where the trees are at, and not where the roads are. Right now.
Is that something that would show, Shannon, on the plan, on the city?
I don't know, I'd have to, that's such a screwy area anyway.
Yeah.
You can look at that one in the middle there, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, cause, hard to say for sure.
'Cause it was, what, 3 years ago when the church council came in and asked us if we would do something about that, so we don't continue to destroy their parking lot on the west side of the building, and I believe it was Mr. Scheid, Robert Scheid, and can't remember who else was with him.
Is it here, and you see there's only that narrow strip.
Mhm.
That narrow strip is probably where the trees are actually.
Okay.
And then the paved area is part of the parking lot, because it was built the same time as the rest of the parking lot.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is where the road is now, or would it really be considered, it would be?
If that's accurate, which I'm not promising it is, because we'd have to have some surveyors, kind of check that out a little closer, but if my guess, and that's all it is right now is a guess, is correct, then yeah, actually, that road where it's at right now is completely on church's property, and there's actually no through street. There is a thin strip, which is probably where the water main's at. But it could be that that's where the trees are at too. And if that's the case, then if the trees are on, happen to be in that strip, they belong to the city, you can do what you want with them, and then you only have to contend with, you know, public opinion rather than
Yeah.
actually having to get an easement.
I don't think now's the time to make a 2-lane road through there, but now is the time to fix that area and try to take care of those trees at the same time.
It depends on whether or not the pavement is actually yours. If it's not,
Mhm.
then the question is, what is the church?
I think it is ours. I think the only part that's not is on the west side of their church. The stuff on the east side. coming up is ours, and that's,
Yeah,
but we would have to get,
So you're saying the pavement on the west side?
so right now, the road, when you go south, you have to go around the church this way.
Okay,
So this is this church's property, according to them, that when they came in. And this side is cities. And that's only, you know, it's only a northbound street over on this side. It's not a two-way.
And everybody uses the west side for south.
Yeah.
Here, here's,
The line.
but if you notice, it keeps coming all the way down, that's the right of way line. And I believe there's a line right here, comes down to somewhere in here. You can see. It looks like it does something like this. It's my best guess at the moment, simply because there's this parcel here.
No, that's where the church parsonage is at on this
Yeah.
parcel right here.
So there's gonna have to be some survey just to kind of determine where those things are at, if they're still there, where the limits are actually at.
Well, I think we need to find out that on the east side of there, so we can address that broken up area. It's really, it's bad. And those trees are only gonna make it worse and worse. Right now, when you're driving from the south going north, and you're going to the cross street, you really don't notice it. It's just, if you're over another 1.5 feet to the east, you're gonna hit it pretty good, but it's not in the wheel tracks right now.
You see people go southbound on there as well.
No,
Only on the other side of the
On
church.
the other side, okay. I thought they were just
No, no.
disregarding.
Majority, that even is on the concrete.
It's on the concrete, yeah.
That's where we would probably only be looking at during pavement.
Concrete, I mean. Yeah, but I think we need to look at that spot too.
I agree,
Yeah,
I agree,
yeah.
but initially it was just the pavement.
Right,
Currently, the project does not do anything. That's what we got it right now,
Mhm.
so. Doesn't
do
change.
we wanna do something with that now, or do we wanna wait till it gets to be a real nuisance and?
That's just an idea, or thought, I mean, just like the road that's in between the middle school and the high school. I don't think that street is even ours, is it? I mean, that's the school's property. I mean, maybe that's the same kind of deal, maybe it's all the churches.
Here's the road. And there's the trees and then that little strip of road, and that's the church.
this right
This
away.
purple line is the church's property line.
Okay. All right.
So is it? city?
So essentially, the
The road's
East half of that road is city, the west half of it, give or take, appears to be church.
Is there, I mean, is there a reason for that? Couldn't a deal be worked out that the city could just have this right away straight through?
You know, there's not enough room for 2 cars to go side by side, north and south, and there'd have to be widened anyhow.
Still have to go east with it.
You'd have to still expand to the east. And there's trees 3 feet off of that, or 5 feet maybe off.
if you extended, if you came and tried to extend this, but then you probably, I don't know what your zoning ordinances are, but you'd be
Awfully dang close right away to the existing buildings, so.
We wanna repair that little spot there, or wait until,
Well, I mean, I think that the sewer does need to be.
yep,
Sure,
yep.
so,
sewer repairs all down here.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
100 feet away.
Which, so, you know, is it essential to do the sewer repair, tearing out concrete out where it's really bad by the trees? It's not.
No. Okay, I don't hear any from, so we wait.
well,
I think it's a public meeting, I mean, this is an information meeting. This
Yeah.
one, anyway, if you guys wanna make a motion once you start back up with your meeting, you can.
I think we need to address the sewer, of course, and find out and get those trees out of there. And then deal with
And then
all
cut
of
that
it.
area out and just fix that. It's gonna be about a 10 by 10 area that needs the concrete and put the ruts dug.
But then deal with the whole widening out. It sounds
Oh,
like we're gonna have,
that's-
that's a whole other,
Well, you have to buy Mrs. Smith's property and there's this, and the school has to buy the church's property and
guy would have
that's,
to do one of these.
Why don't we just fix the parking lot where the road is at the church?
yeah, that's what
You
I'm
know,
saying.
If we
Just
just,
the- that
we
west
just fix
side.
that portion,
On the west side?
yeah, just leave it the road.
If this is accurate, these are those sycamore trees right here, and they're on private property, so you take them out, you're dealing with the property owner.
Yeah.
It's a city, I don't know.
It might not be a bad idea to consider trying to go in there and nail down where those property lines are physically at in relation to everything.
But like Pat said, they have a nuisance ordinance, they could take them out that way.
No, did I just hear someone say fix the west side of the church parking lot
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the where,
for the church?
well, yeah, basically, if we wanna keep using it, just include it as
Improve
part
it.
of our paving and just do that portion that we drive on as the road and just repair that since they're complaining that we're removing it. Maybe they'd be willing to do that. But it's cheaper than moving Mary's house.
Cheaper move Mary's
How
house.
does the snow removal take place right now on
That's
the
private.
south
On the south side?
Southbound is privately done. I know our blades have gone through there, but they get their whole parking lot usually
Yeah.
cleaned out and they push from the east to the west. All the, to those poplars by
The only
the,
reason I ask that is if the city goes in and puts a strip of concrete or whatever going for the south, will it be then expected that, oh, well, now that's city, so city should be
See, when
wrong that
I think we're just doing them a favor. We're not,
I know when I was involved there with snow removal this past winter, we never touched the south and west side, it was just that third street going northbound.
and water sits in there, the water sits in there that deep. On the very south side of that church, right where the curve goes down. They have water sitting there all the time. It just,
There are some issues with the sanitary sewer underneath there, because that sanitary sewer does come down that south side, so even if there's not right away there, there should be some sort of a utility easement in there. So if we have to go in and repair that sewer, and that's one area that I think we're still a little unclear completely on whether we want to go do those few patches. We have to go fix those patches, those settled areas are gonna get repaired, because that's right where the sewer's at.
well, I think now's a crucial time to visit with that church council and say, do you wanna help? If that's something we wanna do, continue to use that side without them
And we'll.
being
do snow-
frustrated with the community, and we help them repair that area, and we don't have to worry about making a two-way through street on the east side.
The other thing to worry about is if they don't want the community to be using that.
Yeah, they could say no, yeah.
If they want to truly do that, the church, need to find a way to block that off. Not the city, is my opinion. It's not our
Well,
doing
it would be, then that's where we use Pat and his hammer, because that's,
Right.
that, you can't just block a street and all of a sudden we've had access through there for 75 years,
Yeah,
and now they wanna put concrete pillars in there, and let anybody drive through there.
right.
I mean, there's gotta be fire access and
There's,
ambulance and schools right there, buses.
I mean, to me, it's kind of a mute point, why are we? Why are we having it? I know it's their property, but if we've never had southbound access, why is this even being asked of? Cause fire access.
Well, they would like to see a two-way on the east side, they're not demanding it, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
And
no,
on
I'm
the,
not saying
on
they're-
the west side, that parking lot is so uneven and crappy, they don't, you can't go across with a walker. You know, people that park in there with old people, it's broken up, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh, I agree.
And they also said they thought that might have been part of they were getting some leakage in the basement, some water seepage, and with all that water always sitting up there on the parking lot, they thought it was Ken Lake. Well, Ken's on that board too, and that's what he thought that could have been part of the issue. So maybe after Dan writes his article for next week's paper on tonight's meeting, the church is probably gonna want to visit with us, so. Yeah, I would think it would be a win-win for the church to improve the west side, us to continue to have good access instead of them, you know, I think going on the east side of the church and making that a 2-lane, buying land, moving Mrs. Smith's house, buying her house. I don't know, we're talking.
From the church?
What's that?
Can we buy that strip where the road's at from the church and then they don't have to worry about it anymore? And just call it ours? And we'll maintain
But that
it.
still only makes one-way traffic.
But it'll still be easier than trying to create that 2-lane on the
No,
other
no,
side.
she's talking on the west side.
Yeah,
Jerry.
on the west.
Oh, by that
Just buy
side.
that
Yeah.
dang little strip, 20 feet wide or whatever it is, and
But that
on the
cuts
road
them
and
in half then, because don't they own that parking lot?
on the other
The
side.
dirt parking lot, yeah. I mean,
So
that
what,
would
they can
be,
drive across our road to get to their parking lot.
Yeah.
And
Kind of
they
like a
maintain-
one-way pair thing there.
That'd be a cheaper.
And easier,
I don't know. I don't know.
and then you get a little money in your pocket.
Oh, it's definitely creates lots of discussion.
If you were to do something like that, which you could do, if you did have even if it wasn't necessarily purchasing it, but if you made it a street easement, of some sort, you might be able to configure things where you put a couple of alley sections.
Descriptive easement through there.
No, I was thinking that we talked.
I mean, if
about
it's been
it
that long,
several years ago. Because I think everybody has always assumed that
Mm-hmm.
it's a city.
that was city property until the church came to that meeting. And we don't have an answer, we haven't seen the property records, and it's in what Danny Sar's edition.
Yeah, Danny Sar's.
We haven't seen it. That was a privately platted edition that the city has.
Well, that one that I brought in was actually done by Ken Lake. He surveyed that.
Did he?
Yeah, this, Ken did
Oh,
this.
for the church?
Yeah, because the church wanted to know where their property ended and the senior citizen center was, so that's we
So there's already a survey on that, which.
just
okay,
that church's property, yeah.
And that's less than 10 years old.
Yeah.
That tells us the answer then. It really looks like this right away comes out over.
The nice thing about that little road there curving down, it slows traffic down nicely when it goes down to the church.
Actually on these properties.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny, like,
this
there's
is
a
all
stop sign
type 4, 5,
at the
and
next
6.
corner.
Yeah. So,
It-
city only.
This looks like there's only
piece of part of that.
This is the city's
I can't
part,
imagine.
and there's a thin strip here where the utilities are running through, but
I think,
Yeah.
even this street is only half on city right away and the other half.
Probably like between the high school and the middle and the elementary. That's-
And are these built out?
Yeah, there's houses there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the right way line on the other side. Comes up, comes over, that you know, there's a pin here, but there's nothing. But it looks like it comes over like that.
One of these must be the north boundary of the street, I don't know which one it is. As it was originally plotted, this one. Well, this is not part of it.
So does that mean we only pay the east half?
I think it's really.
Well, I mean, I would think if we're gonna tear that up, you know, if you're gonna replace the sewer, I mean,
Yeah,
We can put it all back.
yeah, you know.
we're gonna put everything back. Yeah, what we have to tear up. Now, we could redo that entire line all the way up rather than only going part way. We could go all the way through there. And that, then it gets become an issue more of, okay, we're doing maintenance on the sewer. Is there or is there not an easement? Well, I don't know, I wouldn't expect that we'd probably be able to work through that fairly easily.
But either way,
But
we
that
need
way
a
they get,
construction
that all gets done.
We need a construction easement.
You might need a construction easement, if there's no easement, but that gets into the whole question of if it's a public utility and it's there, I'm not sure. But a lot of times, you still have the right of entry to repair and maintain that public utility, even if there isn't an easement in place, but I'd have to defer to the registered land surveyors and attorneys for the finer points on that, but I would think the end result of doing that is if we replaced all of that sewer all the way up through there, then what's going to happen is you're gonna end up tearing out at least that section that you're talking about that's so bad on the east side. And you're also gonna end up ripping into most likely into at least some of the roots of those coverings. So brings up that whole issue of how much of it are you gonna do and how much are you stressing or potentially killing those trees if you do it.
I don't think we wanna go from all the way up that street, that sewer. Do you guys? Have the, on the east side of the church, you're saying?
Yeah,
And that
that's if we
culvert?
kept going
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now.
that's
we're
I
not
think
pretty darn
if we're gonna
expensive.
do anything, I say we do the sewer that's been identified as being a needed repair. And then where the concrete is buckling, entertain the idea right now of the tree removal and fixing that little section of surface where it's buckled and everything like that.
And getting an easement.
Yeah, if there's not an easement in place, yeah, get an easement defined.
Right. Okay.
But there's a number of other places, including this sewer line that runs up through here, that actually goes underneath the corner of the building there.
The sewer line goes underneath that house?
Very close, yeah.
It's,
If it's not on.
if it's not directly under the footing, that east footing of the garage
Right.
on the easternmost building, it's too close to being under it for you to ever be able to dig it up.
A couple of those,
For now.
I guess on the trees, you know, isn't there, I guess a boulevard there, maybe?
Does it show it on this map?
The trees.
Mrs. Smith's trees?
Yeah.
these here.
Those, yeah.
Oh, no,
There's no boulevard there?
I don't know if that was ever a private street, I don't think it was. Danny's addition used to be just a rectangular chunk of land.
And then he just kind of just chopped it up, but they didn't make any sense out of it.
And they started carving it up into little pieces.
I think it was probably a donkey trail at one time that they just put pavement over.
City limits.
That's what I was
Like,
wondering,
at the
is
end
if
of
it
this-
stops here and this little strip of land is
That was.
It's a gap, really.
Well, this whole addition was called like Danny's addition, and it was all one big chunk of them, so. These parcels.
In which case that gap may be a leftover piece to what the original parcel was and it's not right away.
Yeah, I have no idea, I haven't seen that.
So the
Records.
Mercer County abstract would have that?
Well, no, they could build one.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It may not be defined as that, but they would have the current record of what it is, wouldn't they?
Well, stand.
Right.
We could,
Mercer County.
all you have to do is look at
Okay.
the Danny's edition records and see if anything was ever deeded, or if there was ever an easement given to the city.
Okay, all right, I like that, Dan, I think that's what we should do too, do the sewers identified, and just go out and take care of those, that area where the trees are destroying the cement and then get discussions with the church more about what, see if they, what their thoughts are on the west side of the church. It is, it's terrible, it's really bad. And it's concrete now, so, and then I think as soon as you start the curve to go down the hill, it turns to asphalt.
And that's where the sewer repairs are at.
On the asphalt. Yeah. So I'm sure they'd want that concrete again also on the top. So it's not really cheap to do it, but
I don't know if the sewer goes all the way to the concrete portion or not, where it's needing
I don't think
repairs.
so.
Yeah,
So we,
if it does, it doesn't go far into it.
so we wouldn't really be messing too terribly much with that.
right. No, I'm just saying if we go in agreement with the church to do the west side of that parking lot, that's all concrete up there.
Oh, you're saying over here,
No. Yeah.
on the west side of this
Yep.
park.
Well, the west
Yeah.
side here. Yeah.
This area right here is kind of, we could probably line this rather than having to go dig it up. Probably, I'd probably actually want the folks that actually do lining to tell me, yes, we can. But I think we probably could just do that lining rather than actually digging it up. So right now, the scope of work is only to dig up here on the east side of the building,
127, 21.
Something like 125 feet or something like that, yeah. So the west side, we weren't planning on addressing, in part because it wasn't clearly right away. So, and the particular issues in the pipes over there are not, not emergency kind of situations, so we could wait to line it.
Any more discussion for the public information meeting?
So before we leave the topic, we're gonna leave the trees alone for now?
I think we need to find out where the property line is, or
I agree, you need to find out if there's any city ownership up there at all.
I'm thinking that the property owner wouldn't care if the trees are gone or not. They make a heck of a mess in their yard every
Can we
year.
go ahead in terms of approval for direction to move forward, treat that as another one of those extras or whatever, so that
Get
it's,
it all in this?
so it's individually identified, and then if we decide during the course of actions there, it's gonna become too much trouble or whatever, we just pull that back out of the,
I can tell you that the tree removal itself, because we're not really doing any other other work anywhere of that nature really. If you put that in the bid, it's gonna be exorbitant.
Well, we'd remove the tree
Yeah.
If
ourselves.
you were to choose to just hire somebody, it'd probably be more cost effective
Well, the city,
from the city standpoint.
yeah, the city could do that.
Now, as far as the roadway repairs, that's a small enough area in the context of all of the work that we're doing, that if we don't have that answer completely pinned down, by the time we're ready to bid, we can still move forward. There's gonna be contingency money. We could probably you could, as a council, decide to set aside a little extra money for a couple of those kinds of things.
Once you have your unit pricing, you don't know.
You don't know what it would cost you.
Do we, I'm gonna move to a different area. Do we know what this will cost? To add,
Josh, did you put any of those estimates, did you get those finished up or no?
That was in the estimate we had at the
Yeah,
last
but where
meeting.
we were gonna break it out.
It was included in total, but did we get a chance to go back through with all of the changes and the adjustments we're making and pull those
yeah, we
sections
were gonna
out?
treat that as one of those alternates as well, so that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're still trying to pull together.
so we wouldn't do curb and gutter on here, correct? Or,
Right. It's not planned, no, at this
okay, all right. It'd be nice to do that, but if it's, we need to know what that will cost.
Yeah, we'll get you the prices for this, here, and here.
Okay.
Wasn't there 4 alternates, guys?
Yeah,
There's,
the other part was,
Well, there's
five,
the,
yeah.
the, yeah.
Or, yeah.
Walking path. So let's talk about that for a second. So this is asphalt now, which we wouldn't change that to concrete. But the one down on the south side there is concrete, and usage wise, you know, it's been, like I said, 25 years, but I think the only areas that really need to continue to be concrete are the entrances to Matt Claris and the front of the city shop. To be the only, well, and then there's an approach further down for the west by Noreen Gabriel's building too. You know, then
How
we
bad
save
was
some
that
money.
walking path by the city shop? Concrete.
it was pretty rough. You know, in that city shop area there, you could see that there were areas that vehicles had
I mean,
driven on it a fair amount, and it was really, you know, settled in some spots. And
we waste concrete money again in the city shop parking lot.
What do you mean? I don't think it's a waste of money.
It's getting driven over and cracked up and broken up anyways.
You're gonna have a lot better result if you just put some thicker cement with some.
Yeah.
Just put it right
It's
down.
asphalt, should get destroyed.
If you built that little chunk of it, like you would a concrete parking lot,
Yeah,
No.
it should
so what you're
probably,
saying is it probably wasn't built correct the first time?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Well, then, I'm fine with that then. I just didn't wanna see it get.
Destroyed again, yeah. It is, but we're not gonna keep our guys off of that, it's,
Well, no,
it's too, it's a parking lot. Anything else we wanna discuss on this for the public information meeting?
Any action is actually taken during the normal meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay, are we missing anything, Mark?
I think between the last meeting and this one, we've hit all of the high points. I'm just curious too, I mean, as far as, one of the things we brought up last time was the site issue distance at the school.
Oh,
What was that?
bushes.
Here's the high school right
right
here.
across the elementary.
Yeah.
You know, I've driven by there,
Is that there?
Sean, the stop sign is out of the bushes. And I don't know, at one point in time, I guess I've never noticed it until I've driven by a couple times. They've thinned those bushes out.
He just
yeah,
did it
somebody
about
cut them way back.
6-8 weeks ago. Al Schwab, those are his, he cut them
Right.
out himself.
But you're
Of
still
course, they're
talking
really
about,
thin now, so there's.
Even as they are now,
Yeah.
it's still concerns about the site triangle.
So what are you suggesting that we,
They wanted to go talk to Alan, suggest that you cut them down.
The big issue
How
is
far
coming
back?
from the east, right?
If you're driving west towards the school, you
Yeah,
get that
you can.
intersection, yeah, somebody trimmed it back, you can see the stop sign better now than you used to be able to. But when you're at the stop sign, stopped so that the walk, which doesn't go anywhere because there's nothing on that corner, and this comes into the funding requirements, a little bit. But you can't see anything to the right, so if there's traffic or even just kids running, the site visibility is tough,
Right.
looking to the right. It's
Stop.
fine to the left, but you can't see to the right, so you start to pull out, oh gee, there's somebody there, and you gotta stop again.
yeah, the stop sign is set back off that street because of the bushes issue. So you can see.
so how far
the
do
stop
you think from the corner you wanna cut back? 10 feet,
It's-
20 feet?
I'd have to probably go and actually sit down and look at the traffic, the speeds, and stopping distances and that kind of thing, and do a traffic, site distance triangle analysis on that, which we haven't bothered to do at this point. and see how far back it would actually have to be cut.
Well, why don't you just save us some money and we'll just, 20 feet? I don't think we need to do any analysis
Well,
for that.
how fast is traffic? What's the speed?
It's a three-way stop, 15.
It's
15 miles an hour, so
People go real slow there because there's a
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the
big
dip is,
dip.
I'm gonna guess that,
stop sign.
off the top of my head, we probably need to go, the triangle would come from a spot that if the car's sitting in the proper location, set back another 5 feet for the driver position, and then I'm guessing that triangle would end up extending out 50 feet, so anything within that triangle would have to come out.
So 50 feet north.
yeah, something like that.
that's over,
But that doesn't mean
that's
that,
not 100-foot long, deep lot, that'd be half those.
But
half that hedge.
keep in mind that, yeah.
Did you say that would be that's a concern of part of the funding of the monies we're getting for the street project?
25 feet.
The road does
That
this.
portion wouldn't necessarily be the funding, it's just the safety. I mean, really just safety
Yeah.
concern.
The road's
It
here,
doesn't impact the.
and the bushes kind of sit like this.
Yep, yep.
Okay? Car is sitting here, driver here, and there's another car back here. What you're basically doing is you're drawing this triangle, okay, to what is visible. And if this is 50 feet, then it's what's inside here. So
I
it could
see.
be only 5 feet, or
I
it
see.
could be that this angle comes way over here, and you could be looking at quite a bit.
Okay.
Does it matter
That's
that
why
it's a three-way stop?
It does have an impact, yeah. It helps that it is.
Okay.
So if you do that, maybe 20 feet.
20 is a lot. Do we have any teeth to say we can make him do it no matter what? If it's a safety issue, can we make Al have those cut back, or we do it ourselves?
Well, again, it would be under our nuisance ordinance.
And Al would say, when's the last time there was an accident there? And we have to look that up, or,
Has it ever been a problem with it?
no?
Well, maybe it's not that much of a concern.
Just see.
Yeah.
What's that?
I mean, for seeing, you have to be
For
very
seeing,
careful.
you gotta be
Yeah,
careful,
but-
yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
be
You're
on
coming
it.
from,
And it's probably been
But
lucky.
you gotta go
It's
slow
probably
you're
been-
coming from the east, you gotta be.
A main street might be just as dangerous when you come on.
Yeah.
By IBEW, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that has gotten better
somewhat.
by IBW since you've changed the parking over there.
Yeah.
That
At
helps
least,
them move
at
those.
least you can see a little bit better now.
Well, no, you can't.
No, you
If
can't.
somebody's parked
It's
in
still
the
terrible.
handicapped area or
Right up
just
there
hook up
to
on
the
the other side of the street. you
I would
can't
say
see.
1 out of every time, 10 times that I come out of that from the north, Buster, 'cause that's where I come out of every time on Main Street. 1 out of every 10 times, I'm either getting out a part way to see, or I'm looking for a reflection in the windows of the creamery.
No.
It's, and that's,
Where's this at?
I don't wanna tell you. It cost me money.
I'm not telling you you have to do anything.
Middle of the street.
I
We're
know.
just bringing it up because
I
it's
know,
something we
I
don't.
know.
I would just leave it alone for now.
I think we just approach Al and say, it's, you know, it's kind of a hindrance, would you mind cutting back or having us cut him back a little bit?
Jerry, I'll just add, you know, because you know, when I was in the system, you know, those things used to hang out into the street.
Really bad.
And he had a bit of a issue with cutting them back originally, but he was a good neighbor and did that.
Yep.
And so I think he would be a good neighbor and do the same thing, and then if we had a plan and say, can you take out 10 feet of that hedge or whatever that is,
From the
I
corner,
don't remember what kind of trees they are, so that it would open up that corner so you could just see a little better, and he
Yeah.
probably would do it. I don't
Cause
know.
he did a heck of a job about
Yeah.
2 months ago, cutting
Yeah, when I went by.
back quite a ways, so we'll visit with him.
Yeah.
Is there
I
still
think
one of those trees?
for poplar, or lilacs. Okay. Anything else?
Not unless you guys have any other questions or concerns.
Jason?
I guess the one thing we had was, on Wade Solon's corner. Has anyone talked to him about removing that rock? Didn't we have to,
Retaining wall.
that retaining wall? Have we
You know
talked to
where
him?
he's at that pretty high retaining
Yeah, I know
wall
where it's at,
right
yeah.
now.
Because we had talked about that earlier, that was something that had to be done.
Oh, that's right, that was the concern of the project, right?
Yeah, because his parcel is the only one that doesn't have sidewalk running east and west, and he's only just 2 blocks from the school. That's a classic case of, you know, just putting an ADA ramp in there that goes nowhere doesn't really make any sense. It really makes a lot of sense to go ahead and fix that and fill in that one lot that's missing. Geez, I think that sidewalk goes at least all the way over here to Third, and I think there's more sidewalk going over maybe as far as Fourth Avenue Northwest.
You know, and I don't know if
I
you
don't-
have that removed or not, if you're putting a sidewalk in there and you kind of graded out his yard. I mean, I think he put that retaining wall.
It looks
thing there
way better
because-
than it was.
Because his yard is higher than the curb.
It was just a big slump where you couldn't mow it because you know, and you couldn't maintain it
I
very well.
totally get it. I absolutely understand why you put it there.
Yeah.
It is in the city right away, and the big issue actually is not the retaining wall.
Yeah.
The big issue is there's two trees out front, and the trees are absolutely, you can't go on either side of them without killing.
Sure.
And it really needs to go right where the trees are at. My thought on that was, we can take the blocks out, they're just dry stack.
Yeah.
That's no big deal. We can adjust the grades in his yard if he wants, so that it's all maintainable when he's done. Put the sidewalk in there, but the trees are gone. Is that gonna be a concern?
See, cause all that new sidewalks going in, because it's so many feet away from the school, and it has to be part.
So where's the sidewalk going in front of Al Schwab's house? Is there a sidewalk there now?
Not on the
Not
Explain
on
to
either
me
side.
why are we, I can't remember why that was a concern.
It's, okay,
Ex- Explain that again.
That was the ADA accessibility on the curb there.
Because of why again? Cause it's,
Because of how high his property is and where the
right,
street
but why
is.
do we have to put an ADA there?
So that street's gonna be torn
The
out.
streets being,
It's gonna be
And
No,
getting
I
back
should
to your question from earlier, that would impact the loan. That is something DOT would be looking
So that answers your question about where's the sidewalk going by Al's.
So it doesn't need to have.
Al.
That's this.
Where the line
It's where the lilac
Minus
was.
side
Okay.
issue, minus side issue.
The lilac bushes, because all right, so there's sidewalk here.
But not here or
There,
here.
but there's no sidewalk here, there's no sidewalk here, so the crossing gets put in across to the school, and that's all we need to worry about. And I think there might even be one, yeah, see, we're putting an ADA ramp in to cross from the east side to the west side onto the school property, but that's it. Because
Where
there's,
at?
right here, right here.
But there's no sidewalk here. Why would you just have a?
There is
ADA?
sidewalk going south, from the south.
Oh, I'm talking here though.
Yes, but somebody can come walking up this sidewalk on the west side and then
Oh.
cross over.
Yeah, the west
So it's
side.
only right here.
Yeah, we put an ADA there, yeah.
We wouldn't be putting one on the north side because there's no sidewalk going this way, there's no sidewalk going this way, so there's nothing to connect
There's no
to.
sidewalk here.
Isn't there? I thought there
No,
was.
that's,
You're talking the west side of the street, not the
no,
east
we're
side.
talking
Talking
east
east
side,
side.
east side,
No,
where
there's no sidewalk.
Matt Grecian,
No,
house
there's
is.
no sidewalk.
there's no sidewalk
No,
here.
I don't-
It's all on the west side of the
Yeah,
school.
it's all on the school side.
Is there sidewalk on this parcel?
No.
No,
Oh, you know what? There might be on this parcel. Yes.
on the corner lot,
Might be. I think there is.
there's a
Yeah.
little
Don't you
section
want to cross the L?
Cause he always parks
where,
on the corner where Brody used to live.
yeah, where Brody used to live on the corner.
But there is sidewalk, this whole length on the west
There's
side.
no sidewalk on the west side of that house, I don't think.
What's that, Mark?
On the west side,
There is sidewalk on the left side,
Right here, yeah.
the whole way.
Yeah, on the elementary
It's the
side.
school's property.
Well, we're talking
I
here.
don't think there's.
Okay,
any-
yes, there's sidewalk here.
Sidewalk here, there is sidewalk, not sidewalk here, but there is sidewalk here.
That's like,
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
I'd be real surprised if there's not sidewalk there,
Google Earth.
Because we wouldn't have bothered to put something on there if there wasn't.
Are you looking it up on your phone? I don't think there is.
Yeah, there is, okay. All right. So yes, there is sidewalk, what we didn't realize is that it's only a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And there is marked crosswalk here. So what would be the proper,
Well, since you're really talking about crosswalk and stuff, in ADAs, this brings up a whole other ball of wax. There is no, coming from the elementary to the high school, there's no ADA crossing
done up here?
right here. There is no.
No, those are curbs.
It's all curb.
Yeah, we do. Right in front of Brody's house, there's sidewalk there.
No, he's saying there's no ADA from here to here. That's curb.
If there's
curb,
not,
No, I know there's not, cause I can't remember, you asked me about that a while ago.
we would put them in. We would have to put ADA ramps in on that.
Which would be nice, right there.
So,
Well, but, so why then, on that area, we need the ramps, if we're just gonna do just a seal and chip on that?
up here,
On
school.
on between here and here is actually a mill and overlay.
Oh.
And the difference is if you're doing chip seal, it's considered maintenance, you do not have to put the ADA ramps in. If you're doing a mill and overlay, now it becomes an improvement that requires upgrading the ADA accessibility. So that's where you run into the issues. If we were to take the approach that there's only a little bit of sidewalk, doesn't actually go anywhere, we might actually be better off taking the sidewalk out as part of the project, or just not worry about it, saying it doesn't, it only comes from the one house. But then you would want to, and that'd probably be required to remove those crosswalks. How are the kids actually getting to the school?
Walking down the
becomes-
street.
Walking down the street. This becomes an issue of safe routes to school. And there's other funding programs that address that through DOT. It could be that the really truly right answer is to add a bunch of sidewalk in that area where it doesn't currently exist to get them off the streets. But for the purposes of this project and this funding, if you take the approach that that little bit of sidewalk is just kind of a little piece, you don't have to put that ADA ramp in, but you definitely want to take that crosswalk out.
So we're making it more unsafe then for kids.
It sounds counterintuitive.
It does, it sounds governmental.
It sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Or we put the ramp in from the sidewalk that's there,
Put the
being that
ramp
it's
on the
across
other
the street from the
side,
school.
if there's sidewalk here, you got a straight shot, right?
If it's on the what, you're talking.
Well, we're
west side.
we put it over, put the ADA ramp over here, and you got
Well, you don't
sidewalk.
need it over on that side because there's no curb barrier.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no curb.
That's all barrier free on that side.
well then.
So kids that are coming to school from this house right here, if they come down here, there's no sidewalk either way. There's that, that's right.
I would probably adjust the location of that crosswalk, particularly with the discussion we had about those trees. Instead of going across north, from south to north and then over to the school, I would actually think maybe moving that crosswalk to the south side of the intersection where you go east to west instead, mark it there. And that actually cleans up a lot of the concern with pedestrian traffic at that tight intersection, being able to see things. So might be a much easier solution, just adjust that sidewalk location.
You have a question, Jason?
Buster, you have some? All right,
So you are gonna put ADAs in by the school? Is that, I
if
can't
we're-
remember, is that street? What do you got going on?
That's
with-
mill and
Since you got
overlay.
that
So
particular
we're
section
asking-
between the two is mill and overlay, which means we will put them in, yes.
I think the school would be happy that that's happening.
Oh, yeah. Cause what's the little.
That'd be nice.
girl-
Yeah, I mean, you could put, ADA accessible across the walkway.
Yep.
From the elementary, I'm not sure if that's what you're talking
Yes,
about.
it
Yeah,
is.
yes.
But on both sides.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where.
Where the little concrete sidewalk barrier is in the drive-through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause what's the little gal that's in the wheelchair that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah, if you've got a current resident that's using that, absolutely. We have to anyway, but all the more argument for doing it, so we'll make sure that that's in.
and then if we move the crosswalk to the down by the bushes on the south side, on the south
We
side.
just run it across the south side rather than the north side. Put the ADA ramp in here, even though there's only a little bit of sidewalk. Put the ADA ramp in, clean up this west side as well to receive that.
That crosswalk is on the north side of it?
Well, that's what the.
Isn't there an ADA ramp at the end of that intersection?
There might be a curb cut,
Curb cut.
Yeah,
A curb
it's
cut.
not, that's, you also have, it has to meet certain grade requirements, which it probably does, it has to have certain width, which it may or may not. It has to have truncated domes.
It doesn't really.
So maybe nothing more than just adding the
It's not a
truncated
corner,
domes.
it's actually,
Yeah.
so it'd be better just to go right here.
Oh, yeah.
It does, you see that here? It's kinda, it's not right here like I was envisioning, it's actually,
What I'm thinking is we turn and flip this and run it straight across and then just fill this area in so that it can receive.
right,
Just clean that whole area up. This is,
that's all open right
I mean,
there.
it's so open, there's a little bit of curb shown, but yeah, you know,
It's flat though.
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
flat. We can clean this up to bring them across on this side
Okay.
rather than that side.
Yeah, we would just have to let,
You know, look at this sidewalk. Well, you can't get through there anyhow, they park vehicles. You know,
Yeah.
they see those driveways there, what can you see how?
The reality is that whether they're walking on sidewalks to get to that point, there's probably people crossing, there's probably kids crossing at that point, which is why.
Make a note.
can you make a note?
So let's go back to Wade Solon's property then.
We're gonna do here.
You're saying that the tree, those two ash trees need to come out right there,
Yeah.
come out,
Make a note, otherwise Frederick's gonna pay.
and then
Not if we're doing
the city needs to
construction
pay to put a sidewalk through there, and then do the handicap accessible on the corner.
That'll be part of.
Even though there's
striping
no
the air.
handicap accessible on the other three corners.
Those all have to be done.
But yeah, I'll make.
They
a
do.
note of it, Yeah.
Just so he doesn't pay.
There has to be the path now.
Probably
On the south side, I don't know if we do need it or not, I'm trying to remember, because I don't think there's sidewalk on the south side of the road. But I do believe there's sidewalk on this
There
one.
is.
Yeah,
So
I'll make
there
a
would
note
have
of
to be
it.
this crossing,
Mhm.
there would have to be this crossing, because I know there's sidewalk on both sides. I don't know if there's sidewalk on both sides.
There is yes and no here.
So you would have to have the crossing here, you'd have to have the crossing here, you'd have to have the crossing here.
Here, here, and here.
Yep.
But not there. Or
No,
you
yeah.
need that one, so.
Yeah,
You
you
would
do.
need that one too, because you got this side.
So that would be all.
All four.
So it would be all four, but because this little bit is the only piece that's missing between at least here and here,
Mhm.
there's just really no way to be able to justify to somebody, some federal bureaucrat that comes along
Yep.
and says, oh, you didn't meet the requirements.
Yep.
So we would extend the sidewalk.
Definitely in the city's
That
best
little
interest to
green
just
space
fix
all the way
that.
to the corner. Full access there, full access there,
Yeah.
full access here,
Mhm.
and full access here, because
Mhm.
that sidewalk goes up to the.
Correct. Yep.
Alright.
So then we'd have to re-landscape that and,
There'd be some re-landscaping there. You could even get a couple of new trees to replace those set farther back
if he,
if he wants. And that's a decision the city can make. The trees are in city right away right now.
mhm.
But it typically doesn't work out that well if you just come along and start cutting people's trees down without telling them what's going on and
Yeah.
find something else at that time.
Especially this.
Especially when you're tree saving.
All you want is trees, use the wood carver.
You might want to use them, yeah.
They're what? Maybe that big?
Yeah, they're not, they're,
They're big enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could actually spade them.
No, I think they're too big. But, okay, that's fun.
It's like the public meeting was over.
Any other questions or concerns to address to the public meeting here? And we've gone past our time. We thought it would be about an hour, but if not, then meeting adjourned. Do I have to have a motion for adjournment? Okay. The meeting is adjourned. We will now reconvene our regular meeting. We'll call the meeting to order again. We've already got through the minutes and the agenda. So 4A is 2018 street project, plan, specs, and resolution of necessity. Do we need to rehash plans and specs?
The motion to direct them.
Field director.
Things.
Get the final.
Okay.
Now that you had yours.
Okay. So I guess we do need a motion
Can it
now.
be simple as making a motion just to move forward? Or do you need more detail than that?
You have resolutions, you should approve the resolutions.
We're not doing the resolution as far as final plans and specs yet unless, because we've done a resolution for them to prepare the preliminary and reports, so they've got to come with the final plans before we do a resolution accepting them.
Oh, right, you're not accepting, but you're directing them to do the final, right?
We've already done the resolution directing them
For the
to do final plans.
Oh, right,
Because we've got their engineer's report and estimates, so the next step was
okay.
the final plans.
So
Which
this
is-
is the resolution for necessity, right?
We're just,
Resolution
the
of
resolution for insufficient protest is what we're,
Oh, okay,
okay.
well, that's it.
But I
Then
didn't
you
know if
need
you
a-
wanted to do a
We do
motion
need a
directing them.
resolution.
Okay.
So barring any action items from citizens responding, we don't have anything there, so then we'd make a motion that we continue on then with the finalization of the
Well,
plan.
that's what you're saying, is that there are no
Right.
protests.
There was insufficient protest.
Okay, what he said.
Who wants to make the?
You're moving to adopt the resolution determining insufficient protest?
That's exactly what I said.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Pillar and a second by Hack. Discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Pillar. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Now do we need to, so they already know that they need to come back with
Yep.
prices
Now
of
they
these
can go-
other
Now they can go into their findings.
other individual pieces. Okay,
Now, we can bring those, of course, to the next meeting without any problem. Would it help if we got those figures together and sent them to Monty, like ahead of time?
it'd be great if we have ahead of time so we can digest them a little bit before the meeting, absolutely.
Okay.
That'd be great.
And do you know the distances on this area here for what you should pencil in for concrete and what should be asphalt? Because I'm assuming this, okay, so does the board agree that this whole thing does not need to be re-concreted again like it is now?
No.
In front of the city shop is my.
Just the approach areas,
In the approach area.
and there is one here too.
Okay.
that comes in here,
So
and
you
this is
only
gravel coming here now, but people drive across that right now with vehicles off the main street.
Okay, but you want that concrete.
Yeah,
So just the approaches would be concrete?
yep,
And you want the balance of that to be asphalt?
correct. And where's the city shop at? Right here?
And.
Yeah, so the whole south side of the city shop parking lot there.
From street to approach.
And then the approach will take as far as the right of way.
I'm sorry, this is the city shop here. So we have an approach here. So, yeah.
So everything within this dashed line, you want concrete?
I would go from the.
From the street?
I would go from the street to that approach.
Going into Matt's,
Yeah. Yeah, and then Matt Claris's, which is right here.
Claris's,
There's that
into
one.
the city shop, all in front of the city shop, and then going into the pole barn over there.
Yep, right here.
Interestingly, that's the only place that's not concrete right now. It's just gravel and then concrete on either side of the road, isn't it?
No, it's,
It's asphalt. It's asphalt.
Oh, it's asphalt going in there?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're buying, yeah.
I thought it was just asphalt here and then it's dirt.
To the approach.
That might be an old,
I think it's asphalt or concrete all the way. It is
No,
not.
her driveway is asphalt.
Right, but the walkway is concrete.
It is all the way.
Yeah, yeah,
It is.
yeah, it's concrete going across the road.
From by, in front of the beach.
Yeah, that's good, then there's dirt over or something, that is concrete.
That's broke up concrete, I mean, broke up asphalt.
Yeah, we don't have a bus barn yet, so.
This is the
Right
chunk
here, we're
that you're talking,
Yep.
back in as a heavier concrete up through probably about here.
Just to here.
Just
Okay.
over there. Yeah.
And then-
You'll wanna make sure that you concrete, the heavy concrete anywhere south of the city shop.
Yeah.
That's what we're just looking at.
Because they park on that sidewalk a lot.
But on the approach, so that's gonna be concrete to the right of way, correct?
By the pole barn out there.
Concrete to the right of way line,
To the right of way.
only concrete the path.
Only the width of the path.
Only
Yeah,
the,
only the width
only
of
the
the
width
path.
of the driveway.
So,
So
right.
this is,
Okay,
So
that,
basically from
that's
the
going
street,
into
you
Matt
have poured
Claris's.
concrete,
But over here in the shop,
or you want
just
just.
go on this side of that entrance where
Just
you
the
in.
concrete
Just
path.
Just
the
the
path.
path.
where the
No
road,
apron, no.
the road, of course, is what it
That's
is.
hers.
But then on the far side,
Yeah, she wants
street,
she wants
this
to
last
driveway
block,
should
with the
be-
exception of the driveway,
Yes, only the
can be
concrete
All the
asphalt.
asphalt.
from here to the, by the street.
And then this
over
chunk from
is
here to
concrete
here,
path there already.
concrete in this area.
So we would put
The
a-
east
What
side
about
is the
this?
approach of the city shop,
that will all be concrete.
and then you've got.
So I'm gonna ask
So
some
east, this is Matt Claris's
strange
shop.
question.
We don't need to worry about it.
Are you gonna rip out those pieces of concrete that aren't bad?
That's what we're actually did on
I
the,
mean, because there are some of those slabs out there that aren't bad.
the city shop.
No, I mean,
No.
on that whole walking path, I walk that all the time.
That's really the question, in the areas where,
This concrete.
where we don't wanna replace the concrete, do
This is
we
all gonna be asphalt.
leave what's still good?
That's my question.
Or do we just overlay the whole thing with asphalt and use the existing
Oh,
concrete as a load of the
And then
base?
use it as a base. I don't
I
know.
think you leave it at the base, that's better than dirt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right behind my.
As long as it's not moving much, I mean, if it's settling in a lot of those areas that are just
I
chill,
didn't know it's a
There's
dirt
some
barn.
shots.
Oh, there are. but
you know.
There's 150 of them.
Tend to sway.
I think that's what they were
Yeah.
talking
There are
about.
some that are good.
Yes.
In the bottle
We
shop.
were talking about the base for the pavement,
Leaving the concrete.
and
Is that okay? Or like Jens says, now is it
Well,
concrete's flush to the ground,
we
now
would
the
have-
asphalt's gonna be this high above the.
That's what we would have to look at the grades, but
Okay.
yeah, there's that potential.
So I'm gonna just ask another question, because I walk that path all the time. And while you're, I know it's a lot more money, but, you know, the problem that I think you see with asphalt, you got stuff popping through it.
Always weeds or.
Always weeds coming up, and pretty soon you don't have.
There's a lot of
smooth
that through
surface.
here.
You don't have a smooth surface. And, I mean, if I was sitting in your chairs, and I'm not, I would concrete the whole works. Just simply because of, if you get another 25, 30 years out of that, That's not bad, as opposed to if you have to go back in. I've been in town 25 years, and I think that piece out on the north now, this is the third time you're talking about redoing it with asphalt,
And it looks like crap.
and it looks bad.
So, let me ask you, the asphalt, do you normally put a weed barrier down for that at all? Or 2 layers of barrier? And would that help from things sprouting through?
The idea of putting like 1.5 inches of asphalt over the top of the existing concrete is, honestly, it's a little bit of a, I don't know, I hesitate to use the word cheap approach to things, but that's kind of what it is. The more preferred approach would be, let's go in there, we'll take out the pieces of concrete that need to come out, that have settlement, that have cracks. If it's still good, we leave it, we put it all back in as concrete, just like it was before, and move on. That would be the preferable approach. The asphalt overlay concept is something that might be a little less costly, but when you think about the overall cost of what we're probably doing here, and how much is that, you know, are you being penny wise and pound foolish? It's certainly a question you could ask yourself. And again, this is your choice to make, not ours as an engineer. We'll do whatever you want. That's my feeling on it.
At one time we talked about asphalt with fly ash in it to make it harder and a better surface. Is that something, does that really inflate the cost of this asphalt to do that with?
I don't know that it inflates it. It was a case where once we got the geotechnical report, they didn't really give us any sort of confirmation that they recommended using the fly ash. Now, that doesn't mean we can't come in and, you know, do it, especially since these are walking paths.
Right.
You know, those were the city streets we were talking about earlier. So, yeah, I mean, we could certainly look at that.
Because to me, that sounds like a kind of a halfway medium between the two.
That's intended to be a replacement for gravel base.
And that's what I think.
And then you can go over the top of that, right? To do that in just this area, I mean, we could look into it, but that's the kind of thing that becomes less cost effective in smaller quantities.
Well, if it's that and this.
Yeah, now up on the north side, if you decide to do concrete there, you may actually be able to take that existing asphalt that's there, rather than let it just, not even mill it, pulverize it, grade things out a little bit, put in concrete on top of those asphalt millings and base that kind of get commingled by the pulverizing machine. And
So then the concrete would set up just higher than the.
you might be able to actually grade it so it wouldn't pull some material out. You just pull a little bit of material off the sides a little bit and
Because you
clean
don't
stuff up. But
you don't want too much of a lip there because.
So I guess I was totally in the left field here. I was thinking you can mix asphalt and fly ash, making it stronger asphalt. It's concrete and fly ash, right?
Well, the fly ash is kind of a standalone.
It would mix with the gravel, or whatever gravel's underneath and the soils underneath to make a stronger sub base, but it doesn't.
But you could mix cement in the soil there to create that hardened base as well. So
I just think cement's gonna be too expensive.
No, I guess based off, the walkway that we made out to the golf course, and that was like $110,000. That's probably about the same kind of length, if not like shorter.
Right. And it's wider.
Maybe yes, it's wider. Out of town, yeah. But someone else had said that there might be concrete like underneath this asphalt here.
Who knows?
Really?
Who knows how many layers of whatever's underneath?
That's always been asphalt back there.
I don't know if that's ever had concrete on the highway. I think it's always been asphalt.
You mentioned that, Casey. I don't know, maybe. It's not a bad idea to.
Yeah, the western portion.
So what do you say you want, Casey?
Concrete. I mean,
On the old pieces?
well, on the south side, And we're just gonna I guess, patch up the areas that are broke up, so I mean, I don't see a huge cost there really.
Okay.
And the north side, we just make that all, concrete there.
I mean, here.
So that would be just up to the underpass, up to the apartments. That's the only section that's asphalt anymore.
Well,
Past the Senate,
No,
it's all-
no, it's asphalt from Senex here,
West
all the way,
Yeah.
all the way up to here.
Out to Rough Rider.
It goes up to the sidewalk over there by Rough Rider.
And then it's,
Right.
and then sidewalk.
That's what I said.
out to
Yeah.
the golf course.
From the apartments back over to the underpass.
Okay.
I was going from east to west. You were going from west to east.
So they don't have from the apartments, they have from the county road west. right?
Yeah, we're only going from the county road
Yeah.
here,
So
at
you're
Senex,
still, you're still
to
gonna
Highway
have,
Express.
you're still gonna have a portion
Right.
of pavement sidewalk
Mhm.
east of the county.
But that was just done like,
Yeah,
last
Yeah,
five,
that's
pretty new.
4 or 5 years.
I looked at that too, it's in a heck of a lot better.
Yeah,
You can tackle that in 10 years or 15 years.
someone else can tackle that. All right, well, show us the numbers on the concrete for the,
Senex,
from here
Senex
to here.
back to the underpass.
Well, we'll show you concrete and asphalt.
And then do you wanna
That's an option.
show
It's an alternate.
Jerry what I circled there, plus anything that's broken up on that existing?
Yes,
We have the
yes.
3 approaches here,
And then whatever is damaged,
Just replace the concrete.
yes.
and then this whole length for the city shop.
Yes, from the
Yeah.
east of the approach,
Yeah.
west to
Over
the street,
to 11.
that's all concrete.
Yep.
And then anything along this stretch that is damaged, like a 5-foot piece, or whatever the sections are.
What are they? 8 by
Eight by eight.
8? Oh, they are 8 by 8.
All right, we'll watch for that email.
That's what you're doing next week.
Okay,
So, what's wrong with that?
we're down to 5A, 5B, local permit raffle, Hazel's Christmas Club. They're doing a raffle for landowner appreciation.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf. Second by Stearns. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Down to 8A, only thing I have on my report is to remind you of the city Christmas party. That's this Saturday night. And I also want to say, if you see Antoinette Heyer, the chamber director, she did a very nice job. We had a great turnout at the Cat Perkins concert the other night. It was well attended and well run. She did a nice job. It's nice to have an event like that in town. Water sewer?
Last meeting, we talked about maybe like raising up the rates. I know Lonnie's been in contact with North Dakota
Midwest Assistance.
with assistance. And back in August, they kind of just looked at our billing and our rates. And the fixed costs or billings that we have, on the I guess expense to income, I guess ratio is under what they had thought we should have. And then variable, I guess like what we charge for each, I guess like thousands per gallon, yeah. That was kind of in their okay range, maybe a bit low. So then what they had recommended that our base rate be higher by a lot, almost it's like double, but in that letter, it also did I guess like recommend that, I mean, maybe like do like a $2 or $3 like increase a year over the next 3 years or something.
Mhm.
So it's just something that I guess like think about, I guess for now, you know, the coming, I guess, months here, you know, I would just like to do some sort of rate, I guess, increase, you know, this is my first idea, I guess, would be, you know, to raise up the price per thousand, but, it doesn't quite. So I guess with their, I guess.
Well, I think Southwest Water's increased their rate 3 or 4 times in the time we haven't increased ours. Is that true?
Yeah.
Shannon?
The base rate, I feel if we raise that, that's gonna hurt the people that don't use a lot of water.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Grandmas that use 400 gallons a month. I think raising the per thousand is probably fair, just for you guy that waters his grass and, you know, $500 down the drain doesn't care, then jack that part up, but the base rate, you start doubling that, that's gonna hurt some of those fixed income people.
And you're saying, so what's the base now, Monty?
$10. Oh, yeah, 10.
10. So you're thinking of raising the base rate $2 or $3 over the next couple of years?
No.
No.
Each year.
Oh, raising it $2 per year or whatever, okay.
Well, that was just
The
a
next-
recommendation.
Sure.
That, you know, and they said, I think that our like base rate's supposed to be at like $22 a month, you know,
To cover the fixed expenditures.
each month, but.
Well, I wanna make sure we're still in the same ballpark as our neighbors. I think that's important too, that we're.
We could put that in our, why move to Hazen? We have cheaper water.
Better water.
Better water, cheaper water.
Ask someone on the street.
Yeah, people think it's expensive now.
So,
I
I guess like something, I guess.
I agree.
Think about.
I agree.
You know, I mean, at this time, I think to make some sort of change, I don't know how big of a change, but.
And what are we, 1,000?
575.
And we've been getting bumps of like 14 cents, is that right, from Southwest?
Our rate for Southwest now is at will be at 4.53 per thousand.
As a rural water user, Southwest base rate is about $40 a month.
Really? 40?
A lot of the other cities are around
That's-
$20 base
And
rate.
that includes construction costs, but,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to be a little higher.
Sure. Okay. All right, that's good information. I agree, I think we need to start looking at increasing. Anything else, Casey? Has Dick and Ryan or Heather mentioned anything about, I noticed the lagoon looked like it was down like 2.5 to 3 feet. Well, but this is about a week and a half ago. You can tell where there's a water line and there's waiting during. I don't know if that was because of the time of year we're in, or if they were flushing anything or what, but it seemed like the water level, the line was, you see the rocks and they're like gray for about maybe 18 inches down. I didn't know if it was,
You know, maybe it was, you know, a period where they had, it's like discharged the water out of like one of the cells, you know.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, it just was kind of something I just saw. All right, streets, cemetery.
Just got a couple things. First thing, we had a little issue with, our last snowfall, we cleaned sidewalks off, so we currently have a sweeper for the front of the mowers. And that kind of went south on us, and based off of prices, Rob got me for repairing versus new. I also had them get pricing for a attachment for the Bobcat.
The sweeper for the Bobcat.
Sweeper for the Bobcat, that's got down pressure. a little more industrial. And found out today that we have had a clam bucket for one of past skidders out by the city shop for the last 13 years. So Dave actually did some work on that today, and I'm gonna move that we purchase the sweeper attachment for the skidder because they are allowing us $1,000 trade-in on that clam bucket, which would take the original cost of the sweeper attachment from $46.79. Now it's gonna be $1,000 less. So I move that we purchase that sweeper attachment for the skidder for $3,679.40.
We've had this clam bucket with skid steer for 13, 14 years. I've never used it.
Roughly or more.
Okay.
We don't even know where it was, if it was in on a deal from previous skid loaders, don't know. But it was brought to our attention this morning, I'm like, well, so.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Hack, second by Pillar. Discussion? Casey?
So then like sweeping off the sidewalks, I guess with the bobcat, does that kind of do any more damage?
No, I did talk to Barry. My concern is it's an 84-inch.
Yeah.
And the walking paths, they're wider than the normal.
But you're saying for weight?
Yeah, weight-wise, yeah.
No.
Mark?
As far as a bobcat, I don't think you would have any problems.
No, my concern, they're not gonna get anything, you can get those wheels with the nylon and steel. I'm like, we don't want no stainless steel wire wheels.
And this one, they'll be able to turn it
Yeah,
at an
this one
angle?
pivots. I mean, if you wanna, here, I can give you this easily.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, it does pivot. And I did ask Barry about it, and Barry's like, no, it's, my concern was tearing up grass on either side.
Mhm. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call.
Hack,
I,
Pillar. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
and the second thing, we conducted interviews for Ron's replacement. Ron's gonna be retiring the first part of this next year. And I make a motion that we hire Dave Brusso for our new PWD starting January 1.
Okay, motion to hire Dave Russo for superintendent of streets,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion? Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Pillar. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Anything else, Jason?
No, that's it.
Okay, finance busing,
The advisory board will be meeting for busing on December 15th. And I've been told that the new bus is in Bismarck. We should have it soon.
all right, thank you. Police, fire, forestry.
Right now, we're in the process of scheduling interviews for a new police officer in the city. Once we get that taken care of, then we'll bring the recommendation to the next board meeting.
We have 5.
Yeah, I don't know that we would wanna have to, or have a special meeting or anything like that. And the next meeting is gonna get us close to the end of the year already. Then we'll have to come up with a transition plan depending on who we would make an offer to and stuff like that. So we'll have to figure out how we're gonna cover shifts and stuff like that, but
You know, has Chief Dahl done paperwork where he has to be done, or can he extend by a couple of weeks, or do we know at all?
I don't know that he has to.
Okay. I don't know if he, with retirement or anything, if he's done any paperwork. Okay, so maybe he'd be willing to stay on a couple more weeks to help with the transition time if we either do it.
I could ask him.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, Dan?
No.
All right. HCD,
I really don't have too much to share with you folks. We don't just have the one tenant. We do have, the TVs and the wall mounts are going in though, so. Other than that, we still have to beat away at trying to get some tenants in there, but, and,
Have you talked to Red Rath? Do they have any on the line or?
not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
And you know what, I've encouraged her to visit with the folks over in Mandan as well, the other agency that we're working with, so, we have to get a little better plan, I think, a recruitment plan, to get a little bit more going with the some of the social media stuff, maybe out and whatever.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that will be all for today.
Thank you. 9A, WSI, designated medical provider selection. Monty?
We annually have to make a designation of our medical provider, which we've always appointed Secaucus Medical Center. Just need your approval to complete the paperwork. Again, designating them and notifying them that they are a designated medical provider.
Want a motion?
So designated.
A motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Wolf. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Pillar. Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Takes us down to 11A, new business, HCD Board City Representative. What's this all about?
I have decided to take on the ambulance board, and I figured that was just a little bit too many meetings a month for
Okay.
me, so. And I did go to my first ambulance board and it went well, so.
All right. We'll all jump up at one time.
So you guys meet twice a month also?
Yeah, for the city representative, right? Typically, where it's set up now is the executive board meetings are on the second Thursday, and the full board meetings are the fourth Tuesday.
Is that something that can be shared, Buster, or do we have to have a designee? What if we just had someone
Guess
that,
it's your call.
what if we shared it, it might be easier if I took in January, you in February, you in March, you
It
in
would probably
April.
work better if somebody came to the executive board and somebody went to the full board, because it's kind of an overlap of information on those two meetings, other than going from month to month. Because if I couldn't make a meeting, I always try to hit the executive board, because it was, I don't know, that was my feeling. I don't know, Buster, what do you think?
What would you guys like to see, Buster? Obviously, like,
Are both voting positions?
Yes, yeah, they're both voting positions.
So if you're doing one or the other, this one
Right.
could vote for and this one could vote against.
Right.
Yeah.
counter.
The only thing that I would see that could be a concern would be the continuity of it.
Yeah.
Going from one, and I don't know, but
Give me that again, what are the dates or the?
it's the second Thursday of the month for the executive board meetings, and the fourth Tuesday of the month for the full board meetings.
Buster, under your bylaws, who selects the board?
Well, it's we do have a standing committee member from the city as part of being on the board, an appointment from this group. And I don't know, Nancy, how it came about that you were the designee.
Nobody else wanted it. Basically, nobody else volunteered.
What time do you meet, Buster?
5 o'clock.
And the meetings are only about an hour long. They don't usually go over.
They meet in your office or where?
Yeah.
here.
Does
It was
it have
offered
to
to me,
be
but with my work schedule, I sometimes can't even get to the full board meeting.
Because you are a member of
I got my.
And I am a member of
Tuesday
the full board.
Thursday night of each week.
That would conflict.
and I'm already on the,
What if Dan and I shared it?
Does it have to be a committee commissioner, or could it be any city?
Monty, you're asking me the hard question. I don't know, to be honest.
You know, could the board designate someone else
As
from
a
the city
representative.
staff?
Well, just as a reminder, the city has contracted with a nonprofit corporation, the Hazen City Community Development, to perform the functions of the Job Development Authority. So the city is actually following the bylaws of the nonprofit corporation. If that corporation says, here's who is on our board, they control it, not the city. You just contract with HCD to perform those functions. So, it's a standalone entity, separate from the city.
So Buster can appoint.
What's that?
So the executive board there can appoint.
Yeah.
And I will say this much, I mean, it isn't the type of thing, we understand, of course, that people are gonna have conflicts, and you're not gonna be able to make every meeting, which happens with our regular members as well. But, the thing about it is even if it's, and I guess if you really get to the point where you wanna pick and choose, and that becomes an issue, the full board meetings are really the ones where there's, sometimes probably a little more heavy duty discussion, that type of thing. Because, basically the executive board, what we're doing is, if we have recommendations, we're taking it back to the full board.
Sure. I'll do it. I'll do
And
it.
if you can't make it, I'll fill in.
I was just looking through my calendar because I have Gideon's, and that's the first and third Thursday of the month, so I was just making sure I wasn't double dipping.
Perfect.
If you'll have me, Buster.
We will have you, we will have you.
Thank you, Dan. 11B, Lewis Park Development Group Representative. Monty?
As I explained in the notes, Steve Froharp was representing the city on the Lewis and Clark Development Group. They contacted us by letter stating that if you wish, he can continue on that board, dealing with different financing options throughout the state. Basically, if you want him to stay on there, we have to do nothing. If you want
Other than ask him.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, he
agreed.
did?
Yeah, he has agreed that he would continue serving on there as long as you wish him to serve on there.
So do we have any obligation then, if he serves on there, we reimburse his mileage or any of that
Actually,
kind of
that's
stuff?
all done
They
through.
do.
They've done that through their.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you want to, Shannon? Okay, all right. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Then I-
Make a
I-
I'm
motion.
fine with him.
It'd probably be better to go ahead and approve a motion that he continues serving on that.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, motion by Pillar to have Steve Froharp continue as the LNC Development Group Representative.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call.
Pillar.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Hi,
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. 11C, policy update.
As I indicated to you in the notes, there have been requests for pay advances. We don't currently have a policy on such, so just if you want to consider a policy moving forward, you don't have to take any action tonight if you want to take a little time and think about it or whatever.
So this one that you provided to us is 7.14, is that based upon an example you found someplace else? Or
That's actually the number that it would fall into our
I
policy.
understand, but I mean,
Yes,
the
I took
content of
I
that?
took a template from another company. Yes.
Okay. Is it a rarity, is it commonplace? So,
It's
I don't know.
It's not a common thing, and this would basically define, or at least give some guidelines that it needs to be you know, a hardship or necessity.
Emergency situation or extraordinary.
But your emergency is not always my emergency.
Well,
You know,
no.
that's, is that something we can bring to the board every time, or is that something that Monty and I make the decision on our discretion, or? Did you put that in?
Yeah, that's part of this.
Okay. You know, people do have tough times, and I think if we can do it and help them, that's great, and if it's abused, then that's done for that.
Well, and this
Well,
kind of
there's a
limits
penalty
the,
Yeah.
here too.
Exactly, so,
by having a policy, we can limit those abuses.
on the other hand, are we a lending institution?
I would think by definition here, this would be an exception situation, so I don't know that we would become loan officers or anything like that.
Okay, if we wanna adopt this, then we need a motion, and that's good. I hear some strong opposition to it.
Move to approve the policy update.
Okay, motion by Stern,
I'll second it.
second by Pillar, discussion.
Is there a policy committee within the city?
There used to be.
Well,
So,
It's been pretty
me and Steve are on it. I think.
so
You and
so
Steve,
you
you,
could
that's right.
skip that input and go directly to,
I would recommend that we consider this a first reading. We'll put it out to the staff. If they have any concerns, they can bring them back and you could do a final approval at the next meeting. At least then they would have some input,
All right.
if that's okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
I'm sorry, who did the second?
It was
I did the
Pillar.
second. Casey did.
Okay. Stern.
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye. Excuse me. Motion carried. Approval of the bills.
Leave the single page edition on the list for stuff that was entered today.
Motion approved.
Motion by Hack to approve the
Second.
bills, second by Wolf. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Obenauer.
Aye. Motion carried, meeting adjourned.